Okay. So tell me about yourself. Okay. So y'all were just gonna let me go without it. It's I got a different setup today, so I'm going off the phone. You guys can hear me. I hope. So yeah, everybody can hear me. Okay, I'm gonna get a thumbs up until somebody tells me that they can't. All right. So as I was saying, guys, sorry for the time delay. It's been a couple weeks since I've been on here. A lot has been going on, and most of it's pretty damn good. I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, Yeah. But last week the football season for WSSU officially ended. Not the way that would have liked. Another heartbreaking loss. Halftime lead of 21-17 turned into a 31-21 loss. WSSU finished 4-6 on the season. This was our our fifth year in 6 of the last 6, losing 6 games. Promising season. I think we were picked to finish 5th in the CIAA. That we might have finished maybe even a little bit below that. We had a lot of talented players, though, a lot of talent there. Couple games here and there, and maybe we're talking about a different story, but hey, we got what we got, right? And that's a 4-6 season. And the season finished on Saturday. I was actually in Richmond, Virginia, coming back down from the VUU VSU game, and I just crossed over to the North Carolina border. And I happened to pull over and saw that the coaching carousel has officially begun. It's no secret. We talked about it last couple weeks ago, that this was expected. But Robert Massey, head coach, decided to resign right after the next day following the loss on Saturday, which set off a whirlwind of events to get us to where we are here now on the 13th. Obviously, like we talked about before, WSSU football has been under the tutelage of Robert Massey these past since 2019 when he took over on an interim basis. And, again, it's going to be hard to find somebody that people are going to talk about in a better light as a person, as far as, some of the things that he did for the program, including, donating money and things like that. And so, while we wish the results could have been different, we definitely will wish him well. He's left his impact on WSSU. There are going to be a lot of these young men and then people around the program who, when they think of their time at WSSU, he's going to be an integral part of that. And they're part of the Ram family as well. So best wishes to him. But I think we all know it was time for a change. A lot changed between 2019 and currently. Hell, a lot has changed in the last couple of weeks. A couple of weeks ago, we saw Etienne Thomas, our former athletic director. We saw her sending her resignation, and then Coach Massey shortly to follow, and of course the man that brought both of them into the fold, Chancellor Elwood Robinson, is gone as well. So, and Alonzo said it I've been saying it. Can you feel it? Can you feel a Ram new day? Can you feel a Ram new day? Well, the Ram new day is here. You know, uh, when our current chancellor, Bonita Brown, was hired back in, was announced, I believe it was the end of May or the beginning of June. And it was the end of May. Yeah, because Cleo Hill left on June 1st. How did I forget that? So it was the end of May. I was there, and there's a lot of excitement around there. And obviously, whenever you have any type of transition, people are going to wonder about the changes that will inevitably come, and what level they're going to happen, and how swiftly that'll happen. There were questions about that in so many areas, not just athletics, but again, being HBCU game day and WSSU Ram Nation. Obviously these are things that I thought about, and immediately I thought about where we were, where we were at that time, where we had Etienne Thomas, our AD, who had been there for she was in her 4th year. And also, head coach Robert Massey, as they were getting ready to embark on the 2024 season, and kind of what was going to be the future. And then we saw Cleo Hill leave right after that. And so again, we talk about change. It's constant, it's consistent, and but you wonder how much are people going to change. How certain relationships are going to either congeal or fizzle, and you kind of really weren't sure what was going to go on. So just kind of watching. And obviously last year, 2024, WSSU had a big step up. That went up from another 4-6 season to a 7-3 season. There was a lot of optimism there, and you kind of wondered how it would go. And so I think all year in my content, I've been trying to really prepare people for knowing that 2025 was going to be a year of a swift year of change. There's been a couple of years for WSSU that have been very change heavy, and I felt like this was probably going to be one of them. Knowing that the contract for both Etienne Thomas and Robert Massey was coming up to an end, what would happen, wasn't really quite sure. And so I've been kind of putting those seeds out there all year in terms of hey, can we kind of figure out what's going on? Because, as I've said previously, in the previous administration, athletics, oftentimes we kind of felt like we were on the back end of whatever happened. And we just kind of got hit with whatever. And it was kind of like walking in a cloud. But I can say that after viewing the town hall that Chancellor Bonita Brown had with the Horns the other day, I'm actually feeling very optimistic. It is, and I did take some notes, so let's see if I can pull up those notes. But I will say, just as I'm looking to pull up those notes, I felt very optimistic about the fact that we have a leader now at WSSU that understands, just on a base level, on 1,000-foot level, how important athletics is at WSSU, particularly football. How important it is to for alumni, for the students, and for the university. Working in and around athletics, you always hear that football is the lifeblood of a university. The front porch of a university. And you can often tell how well things are going, in some cases, not all the time, by football. So it really is a big indicator. And obviously, under the previous administration, things took a nosedive. We've not been back to the CIAA championship since 2016, and coming up on a decade now. So a lot of things have gone on. But just hearing Chancellor Brown talk about what it was, just hearing her talk about the current climate of college athletics as a whole. She talked about how Power Fives, they may go off and do their own thing and how that may impact everybody. She talked about obviously for the CIAA, how that would ring true, and then also what would happen, for WSSU. So she kind of really painted a really good picture of what's going on, and really kind of kept everybody informed. They also had the chat was wide open. Shout out to Ms. Haley Jingles. She was the moderator, and also Mr. Eric Burns, the interim AD, who will be kind of overseeing this search along with the chancellor. So let's see if I can get to some of those notes that I had. All right, so let me roll back up. To my notes. All right. So, so let's get to some of the things that we heard. So the next head coach will have at least 5 full-time assistants, which is what the previous staff had. So we'll see there, and I think this was good. And I know that, they want to give the Horns preference, and that they want to, give add incentive for people to join the Horns, which I think is great. I think it's important and it's needed. But I think that there's certain information that everyone needs to really be privy to, because there are folks that may not be Horns yet, but are potentially headed there, right? And so I think that's very important. Again, I love the transparency that we got from Chancellor Brown, not only in this situation, but also when we were talking about the homecoming changes as well. That's really been a hallmark of what they're doing, even to the point of where you can now go and see the Board of Trustees meetings live, when there was not always the time. You can see them live, you can get notes from them, and you can know what's going on, which is so important as we continue to try to keep this thing going. So let's see. Let me go back to my notes. But yes, so I know that again, we don't have a permanent AD right now. The chancellor said that what will happen is the AD search will happen after the football coach search. Now, I know for a lot of people, traditionally, this doesn't really make a lot of sense. But if you were able to hear, basically this is a situation we're coming on in college athletics is in a whole new world where everything is sped up because of NIL and transfer portal and the fact that they're giving money. All you have to do is go on to hbcugameday.com, and we've got a story on there right now about a kid from Livingstone who's in the portal, who's getting wooed by ACC and SEC schools, and they're going to be giving him money, and so obviously things like that impact athletics, impact teams, and could impact us as well. So they realize, and I'm glad that they realize this. I wasn't sure whether they would or they wouldn't, because you never know, but they realize that we have to move with intention, and we have to do that steadily, because we do have, again, some very talented football players. Dalen Lee, our quarterback, is a very good, talented quarterback. And I think he's a potential championship level quarterback, given the right coaching staff and the right situation. He's got some other players as well that are around him that also are really talented guys. And, there's no mistake about it. They're going to be sought not only by folks that are at Division I schools, but also by some of our CIAA teams who think they're our rivals, but some of them who have been beating us. So it's imperative and that they get this hire right, but also do it quickly. Let's see. There's some other things that I had. So Chancellor outlined what she would like in a coach, and so I think all of these are really great. She wants someone who understands the new landscape, portal, NIL, mental health as well, and NCAA changes. She wants a coach that's able to connect with the students and sets the standards academically and behaviorally, a builder who can assemble a strong staff, a communicator who speaks well with the media. Yes. Yeah, put the media on in there, dog. I'm sorry. Students, staff, and alumni. This is what really stood out for me. This is what stood out for me. A fundraiser. And that is one thing that we'll give Coach Massey credit for. Again, he donated part of his salary to, I believe, insurance for the student athletes. So again, very commendable. But we need to. Fundraising is always going to be an issue, and they got something specifically that they talked about a little bit later. But being a fundraiser is always going to be a part of it, and I think that's going to knock a lot. Honestly, I'm glad she said that. I think that's probably going to knock a lot of candidates out there. Gone are the days where as a college football coach, you could just, as long as you could do the X's and O's and you had a couple folks who would throw you some players, you'll be fine. In today's landscape, you have to, money, especially at our level, is important. And so, they're going to have to go out there and they're going to have to be someone that can inspire people to give and open up those checkbooks. So I'm glad that they got into that. Let me know what you think in the comments, what you think about what Chancellor Brown is looking for. I don't think that she missed at all. And so we did also hear from interim AD Burns, who kind of put out his preferences for a coaching background. He said, potentially a sitting head coach, ideally at a Division II. We'll get to that in a second. He also said potentially a Division II coordinator, becoming the Division II coordinator, or a D1 position coach with strong recruiting ties. Recruiting ability is a non-negotiable. He wants somebody with high integrity, of course, experience developing players and coaching staffs, and he wants a commitment to WSSU. All of those things are set. They sound good. All of those things are they all have their place. I think two things. I don't know, and we'll also talk about salary too, because that's another elephant in the room. But I'm just so thankful for that Horns information section, because there's a lot of information that we see on the WSSU Ram alumni page on Facebook, or just in different comments, and people just kind of making up numbers and saying, that, Massey had this or Massey has that. And some of the numbers may have been accurate at certain points, but I've heard a lot of things as though, we got less than 20 scholarships. Well, no, the last couple of years we've upped that up. We had 32 this year. The max is 36. I knew that, but I'm glad that it was put out there for everybody else. So we're 4 away from the max, but we're a lot better off than what we used to be. And we're a lot better off than a lot of CIAA teams. As a matter of fact, I know one of the teams over that's playing in a championship game this weekend at an HBCU. They have less than 20 scholarships. So scholarships matter. You always want to be able to have scholarships. You always want to have a properly funded program. But yeah, some of the numbers that were being put out were just not accurate and reliable for where we are. So with that said, also you get to the salary number. Now anybody can go on to the UNC system database and you can see how much, your coaches, your ADs, they make, and, that stuff is accurate. And so there was a question asked as to whether or not the incoming coach would be making the same salary that Massey made or more. And the emphasis was that they would be making more. So, there was no specifics given on that. But again, it's good to invest, because like anything else that you do, right, this is a business, right? These are people, these coaches are people with families, or even if they don't have a family, they like nice things. And so that brings me back to the part about, what we're looking for. A Division II coach, I guess it'd be interesting to see what kind of coach we could get that would, what have they done where they are, right? I mean, why would you leave a Division II job to go to another Division II job? I mean, it is It is Winston-Salem State. So I get that. But, I think that would be one question I would have with potentially getting another Division II coach. And please, guys, talk to me in the chat. I know Alonzo's going to talk to me. Some of y'all can talk to me too. While you're in here, go ahead and put in some names that you think would be who would be good at head coach or AD. I've been getting AD names as well. So, there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of energy around all of this. But anyway, the next coach is going to be making more than what Massey made. And I think that's a step in the right direction. I think that helps out our application pool. Someone did ask about the application pool. There were some people who were worried because, again, the hire that they want to make, they would like to make this hire by the first week in December. We have a board of trustees meeting. I think you guys, if you've been watching these or you've seen some of my videos, you may have heard me talk about them anyway, but we had a board of trustees meetings in early December. And again, that is so that the new head coach can get in here. They can, lock up the players that they want or that fit their system moving forward and can take advantage of the transfer portal as early as possible, because things are always just getting faster and faster in athletics. So, those are some of the things that came out yesterday. So also, again, a potential as a D2 coordinator or a D1 position coach. Recruiting is big. So the job was posted. Earlier this week, and in a couple of hours, they had 11 applicants in like 2 hours. So, obviously folks wanted this job. Chancellor Brown said folks, had already been calling about the job before it was posted. And so that just speaks to, again, what WSSU has been and what it can be. And if this is still an active job, what Chancellor Brown said, this is a coveted job. People recognize our legacy and want to be a part of bringing it back. So the Chancellor made it clear the landscape is changing, challenges are real, and we have to adapt. Interim AD Eric Burns made it clear the search will be swift, intentional, focused on someone who can recruit, fundraise, lead, and win in 2025's version of college football. There's that. There was also questions about what it would take for us to get to a full allotment of scholarships, which is 36 in the Division II. We currently have 32, so we're 4 away. I believe the number that was given there was $20,000 per scholarship. And so, when you add those together, along with some other things, that the numbers were given out there. So the other thing I think for me that kind of that I think as well is I don't know that you're going to, I heard the part about the desire for somebody who is going to stay and not use this as a stepping stone. I'm looking right here in the camera. I love WSSU. I really do. But we're Division II. And that's not that we have to be small-minded. That's not that we have to think small. But what we do have to realize is, if we get the coach in here that we want and we desire, who is someone who is going to hit the ground running, who is going to be a culture changer and a transformational figure, if we get that person and, they can turn this around in a reasonable amount of time. Again, we've seen folks come in at some levels and win the first year, but, by year, 2 turning the corner, year 3 contending for a championship. If we can get a coach in here that's going to do that, being a Division II program, people are going to come for our coaches. That's just the nature of the business. God bless them. You're not going to get any more big house games. God bless him. I don't know. Kermit Blunt is our longest tenured coach. I think he's our second longest tenured coach. Tank Conrad was longer. He was there for 17 years. He won 2 championships. And so, I just don't know that you're going to have a successful coach stay at WSSU for 10 years. And depending on how they stay, I don't even know that you're going to have them stay for 5. But I do know that right now what we need is a coach that is again, going to be transformational. I mean, that's basically what they asked for. It's going to be a coach that is going to also, Chancellor Brown mentioned. Let's see. I want to make sure I get her words correctly. So, she said, and I looked from my computer. I said, let's see. So these are some of the things she said. So there was a question asked about potential fundraising and a fundraising campaign that would start potentially when they introduce the next head coach. That's kind of, I asked that. When that was that was something that Chancellor Brown, when that question came up, she was very excited about. She said, "I love that question. I think it's a great idea to kick off with a fundraising event around a new coach. I think it's the perfect time to do that, and then take the coach around and let everybody meet him. So our alums, that's us, and to the people in the community, because that's the other thing I want to focus on, is getting more of the community to come to our game." My God, today. I want Bowman Gray to be a little bit more full than it is now. So I think an attendance campaign, community connections, and fundraising will be a great thing to center around a new coach. And then Interim AD Burns went to talk about some things that he and Latanya Lamont, former women's basketball coach, currently major, who's a development officer now. They're strategizing about it. So there's there's a lot of energy right now around this, and I'm glad that it's being taken care of. I'm glad that it's being done. I'm gonna use a D9 term, I think, and let me know if I'm using it correctly. Above ground, right? Because we've had some stuff that has not been above ground, or it hasn't felt above ground. Again, I did a video a couple years ago talking about the lack of trust between alumni and WSSU in general, but specifically athletics. We go back to that search that landed Robert Massey as our head coach after he had already been the interim head coach. There was just a lot of that search was one that, we kind of felt like we were in the dark on. And I like the fact that they're not going to keep us in the dark on this one. And, just kind of felt like at the end, it was like, man, was it even a need to say that there was going to be a national search? But, again, some people don't like the fact that this application closes in a week. I think that's plenty of time. I think that's all we need. Ideally, well, we see. Okay. Oh. All right, let's get to it. Lonzo's put it on the table. If anybody else wants to put a name up there, go ahead. But Lonzo's put it on the table. He says Tori Woodbury. Wait a minute. What number did Tori wear? Let me stop playing. Look, I already know this. So obviously, Tori wore number 12. And interestingly enough, if you go back and look at the photos when Coach Massey was introduced as the head coach, they gave him a number 10 jersey. But actually, I've done the research. I went back to the very beginning of WSSU football, of Winston-Salem Teachers College football. Our coach in 1940, his name was Nat Taylor. Harold Taylor. Harold Taylor was our first coach. He only coached for one season. He also coached the women's basketball team, which was really good. And then he handed over to Brutus Wilson, who was a football star at Morgan State University. And then from there, our head coach became Big House Gaines. Coach Gaines was the basketball coach and the football coach for a while. And so he hired another former Morgan State legend in Tank Conrad. All right. So that turns us into 4 coaches. Tank Conrad was there for 20 years. Make sure I'm doing my math right. It Yep. All right. So he was head coach. Then you have Bill Hayes. Bill Hayes was there for, I believe, 12 years. Goes over to NCAT, and and then we have I'll get my trivia here. We also have Pete Richardson, who did a great job and went on to Southern University. Then we had Kermit Blunt, right? Then we had Connell Maynor, right? Then we had Keenis Bulwer, and then now we have had Robert Massey. So our next head coach is going to be our 12th head coach, if my math is correct. So that's interesting, Alonzo. Very interesting. Last time we were on here, we talked about some other names. So let's kind of look at some of those other names that we talked about quickly. We talked about Carlos Fields. If you heard what Eric Burns said, that he said they would look at a defensive at a coordinator at the D2 level. Carlos Fields fits that bill. So that's one guy. I know a lot of people have put up the name Terrence Graves. I know a lot of the people that know him feel like he should be our head coach. I know that he was up for it the last time, and Coach Massey was chosen, and he went on to become the head coach of Southern. Won a division title last year, and then the wheels fell off this year. He's a former D1 coach. That wasn't on the list that Burns said. Doesn't mean it won't happen, but I don't know that that's the right fit for me. Just my opinion. And what do I know? I didn't play football. I'm just a guy who watches it all the time and cover the sport all the time and talk to coaches and people. So take my stuff with a grain of salt. But I also heard some other names. I know some former CIAA head coaches have been whispered to me. Daryl Osbury, who is he led Shaw to some championships, back in the 2000s. Then he went to Texas Southern. I keep hearing the name Connell Maynor. We talked about that before. Obviously, we know he's over at Wake Forest. You hear things. You hear that, people always put his name up there, but you hear that maybe he's interested. I also hear a guy like Devon Mackey, who's a young guy who's definitely on the younger end of the spectrum, but he is a analyst over at Texas A&M, doing a great job there. And there's a lot of potential candidates. I'm asking for anybody. If anybody wants to put anybody out there, I also have also been getting some candidates that people are asking about, or who could potentially be there for athletic director. A couple of alumni that I really wasn't aware of, but have been put across my desk recently. So I'm going to do my due diligence before I come out with that. But I think Torrey Woodbury is a name that, I'll be honest, I think he checks all the boxes. He checks the box of an experienced coach. He's been coaching in college and the NFL for right at 20 years now. Started as a grad assistant at WSSU, then went with Coach Blunt over to Delaware State, then to Johnson C. Smith. And he's a Super Bowl winner. In addition to the fact that he played in the NFL, he's from Winston-Salem. Again, you talk about the community and all of these things. He's got, connections and things like that as well. He's currently the special teams coordinator and assistant to the head coach over at Norfolk State. Michael Vick and those guys, obviously they're struggling right now, but I have it on good faith that he's getting a lot of reps and doing a lot of work that would come along with being a head coach. So I think I don't think you could go wrong with Torrey Woodbury. I absolutely don't. I think he would energize a lot of people. I hear people talking about they're going to buy season tickets if he's their guy. I hear people say, hey, if Carlos Fields is the guy, they're going to buy some too. So I think, you have to look at that as well. But I think we just need this has to be a transformational hire. No offense, but I'm going to say, to be honest with you, our last two hires have not been transformational. Coach Bulwer, which he's my guy, I definitely Appreciate him and have a lot of respect for him. We have had a lot of great conversations over the years. You know, he was next up after Maynard, right? And then obviously when things went down with him, Massey was the next guy. We need a transformational hire. And I think our chancellor gets this. I think she understands it. These last couple of years have been it's been death by 1,000 cuts. And, you know, I know that, you know, we're a little shell shocked for sure. I mean, Johnson C. Smith is in the CIAA championship, y'all. Johnson C. Smith, and we're sitting at home. You know, some things just ain't right. Some things just ain't gonna sit right. Ain't gonna sit right with us. So, but I think now's the time to move forward and look forward. And while we're here, before we go, we would be remiss if we did not thank Miss MacKenzie Scott. Man, she dropped the bag on us. 50 million. 50 million is amazing. You know, and actually, let's go back a little bit. A week ago, it was announced that she was donating 50 million to Virginia State University. So, you know, I remember writing that up and posting about it, and people were like, "Oh man, this is great. I wonder where we're gonna get ours." And you know, I get it. It's everybody. It seemed like everybody was getting money from the HBCU Tooth Fairy, but us. But you know, hey, we woke up. So I mean, there's just been a lot of news coming out recently at WSSU. We had our credit rating went up, so shout out to that. Then obviously Coach Massey, his resignation was some big news as well. And then we had the news of the MacKenzie Scott donation. So a lot of things are looking up. I don't know if you guys have had a chance to look at the let's just look up and see and talk about how that money is going to be spent, and then we'll get off there. But please, guys, leave me a comment. I know I see how many we have in here. Y'all can talk besides me a lot, so I promise you. Whatever you want to say. Hey, Steven, you talk too much. Hey, Steven, nobody cares what you think about who the coach of the show is. Please give me all your comments in there. It's not hurt my feelings. Let's see. MacKenzie Scott, WSSU, because this is the second time that she has donated to WSSU. The first time was a couple years back. And now this is a $50 million gift. I know Norfolk State got a $50 million gift as well. They got a $50 million gift as well today, so shout out to them. But yeah, here is some of the frequently asked questions. It is unrestricted, so we can spend however we want to spend on it. So that's amazing, you know, when you get that money, period, but then to get it unrestricted, chef's kiss. Who oversee the allocation of the gift? The Chancellor, the Board of Trustees will oversee the gift. How was the initial 30 used? The initial gift was strategically invested to support long-term financial strength and future growth opportunities. So the first scholarships from the money that we got previously will be distributed in 2026. So, you know, that's big news there. One of the frequently asked questions is, why didn't they build residence halls or update facilities with the initial funding? Initial gift was transformative, but it's not sufficient enough to fund new campus infrastructure. Large-scale building projects were not only require constructive dollars, but ongoing maintenance and operational support. The funding that wasn't available. They're currently in the process of developing a refreshed campus master plan that is going to provide a strategic focus on future infrastructure developments. Let's see. When will there be a plan for the money that was received? The leadership is actively developing a comprehensive plan that prioritizes student success and ensures resources that are allocated where they can make the greatest impact. This plan will align with the refreshed institutional strategic plan and the campus master plan, both of which are currently underway. These plans will be shared with the campus community in the coming months. So there we have it. Yep. So, She is definitely good on this MLK Boulevard. So there's a lot of excitement there. Again, let me know what you guys think. Maybe what you think we should spend it on. But anyway, a huge gift, and I think that says a lot about WSSU. Again, like I said, we got the good credit rating a couple days ago, and now we got this. So things are looking up over at Old State U. Well, listen, guys, it is getting up to that time. It's 9 p.m. Not going to hold you guys any longer. I appreciate everybody that has tuned in to watch this. Again, just some takeaways. I think we're in good hands as far as this football coaching search goes. Our chancellor understands the fact that the alumni want to win. She wants to win, and everybody wants to win. But that's going to take not only the right coach, but it's going to take money. And we can't just always count on our MacKenzie money. So, hopefully when the new head coach is announced, in the coming weeks, there will be a campaign as well, and put your money behind it. I'm going to pledge to WSSU Ram Nation right now that if they pick the coach that I think they should pick, I'm definitely going to put something on it. So hopefully you guys will too. It's important, again, that you choose the right leader, because we should always support the institution. But, the thing that we have to remember, and that I think that has been forgotten here, is that football is a product, from the team on the field to the promotions that they have to be promoted to, everything that we do in football is a part of a product, and you're asking people to buy. You're asking people to spend their money to go to these different classics in different states. You're asking us to donate. You're asking us to, do these things. Give us a product that we can be proud of, a program that, shows WSSU to be what we know it to be, and we know that it can be. And let's go ahead and dig in and help. This is really a team effort from start to bottom. So with that being said, I am going to hop off my soapbox. We'll be potentially working on, well, there you have it. I mean, hey, if we have a lot of that energy, we we'll be fine. So, all right, guys, appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next video. Thank you so much. Peace.